Welcome back to Reaper for the Culture. I am Kenda Sutton-EL, the Executive Director of Birth in Color, and you have tuned in for the Birth in Color Doula series. I have with me an amazing doula, Dana Williams. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Would you like to introduce yourself and tell them all about the things that you do that under your doula hat?
Sure. My name is Dana Williams. I'm a doula trained with Birth in Color for about 2 years now. I also have placenta encapsulation certifications, child passenger safety technician certification, breastfeeding specialist as well. So yeah.
Oh, that's a lot under your hat. Okay.
All trained and certified through Birth in Color. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell me, how did you get into being doula work?
So in college, I ran across an article about Erykah Badu. Erykah Badu is like my mother. And I was reading her articles, and I wanted to know what it was about. I was too going through my own personal experience as far as my holistic living. I was following Dr. Sebi as well. So on my holistic journey, I found out what a doula was, but I didn't have the opportunity. I didn't have the resources, and I didn't know a community-based, Black-owned community-based training to attend. Okay. So about 2020, God made it so that I had the resources, I had the money, and I found Birth in Color, and we actually trained October of 2020, and it's been, I don't know, it's just been soaring ever since. It's been crazy. So God has worked that out for me. He's aligned everything, and it just kind of made me feel like I'm a servant leader, so I wanted to serve other people. I just didn't know in what capacity. And now that it's birth work, I think that it's actually been amazing. Oh, and I would never turn back.
So what is your favorite part about being a doula?
I think my favorite part about being a doula is the rapport building and making sure that other women's needs are met during their birthing journey. Another favorite part is just the experience of the birth itself, but also the postpartum part, making sure that they have that assistance during their postpartum. I think it's the full spectrum of it all. I love it all, actually. So that's my favorite part.
Okay. And you said that, so you do placenta encapsulation.
Yes.
So what is that like? Can you tell me what that is?
I sure can. So placenta encapsulation is literally turning a raw placenta through the process of steaming. After we steam, we dehydrate. After we dehydrate, we actually blend and then fill them into capsules. The placenta has so many nutrients like iron and things of that nature that we could replenish ourselves after we have birth. It helps with postpartum healing and also milk production as well.
Okay. So if I was a client and I was looking for that, where do we find you at?
You can find me on social media, Dana the Doula on Instagram, and also on Facebook. It's just Dana Williams. It should say that I'm a doula and I do birth work. And you can just apply that way. I do have contracts to send out and also advertisements there as well. So you can reach me there. Okay.
And then you said that your car seats.
Yes. The child passenger safety technician.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, okay, that's a lot of words.
Yeah. I couldn't get it all. I was like, CPS? No, that's not it. But that was an awesome experience. We had a weekend with I think it was a group of police officers that hosted that event. Okay. And we stayed there for a couple of days. I think it was like 3-day training event, very intensive. We stayed there like 9 to 5 all day. But we learned so much. I grew attached to my little baby, my dummy baby.
That you wouldn't put down.
I wouldn't put down the dummy baby, but it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of hands-on experience with learning how to properly put a child in their seatbelt, how to properly install the seatbelt in a car as well. And just knowing that we don't even say, I learned something new. We don't say car accidents anymore. We say car crashes. Okay. So that was something that I learned new about the verbiage. When we think of certain things are accidents, some things are very preventable. Yeah, so.
Okay, because I definitely did not know that it was that much to a car seat.
Yeah.
And I have 2 kids.
Okay.
And I'm just thankful that
You're alive.
that that it was okay, because I learned that they were not in the car seat properly. And until this course, I would have never thought that it actually would take that long to actually learn all the nicks and crannies of like how to make sure your child is really in the car seat properly.
Correctly.
And how important it is to make sure that it's done correctly.
That and reading your manual, your car manual,
yes,
the latch manual, making sure the manufacturer information is correct.
Like all those little latches in your car,
yes,
are actually for something.
It's for something.
And I was like, what? Wow, this is okay. Real people don't know this, right? Who's not certified. We don't know that. Like no one is actually talking about that.
Right.
No one talks about like, oh, this is very, very important. Or even explain to people who are like inquisitive, like why is that important?
Why is it important?
And then you said that you're a certified breastfeeding specialist.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about that.
Well, we took a training that was very hands-on. It was very long. I feel like I'm still going through it a little bit. But the breastfeeding specialist piece is actually a prerequisite in order for us to become IBCLCs. We have to have 1,000 hours, credited hours in order for us to even apply to become an IBCLC. So I think this is a groundwork for us to make sure that we understand about breastfeeding, about breast milk production, about keeping your breast milk, the importance of having breast milk fed to your child. It was very intensive, but I think very beneficial as well.
Okay. So how do you have time? Like, what does that look like? How do you balance it all?
Well, now I'm a full-time doula, thank God.
Okay.
I think God created a way for me to do what I do full-time. Time management is something I'm still working on to balance everything, but everything works in tandem for me where, okay, yes, I have these certifications, but they all work with my sessions with my clients. I can add the seatbelt. Actually, I do have a session with my clients just talking about seatbelt. I have one session just talking about breastfeeding. So all of these things work to my benefit and also my clients. So I'm not like going all over the place. Yes, I juggle many hats, but I'm a queen with many crowns and I can wear them all.
Okay. Crown me.
Okay.
Please. And thank you. So tell me, what have births been like for you as a doula?
Births have been amazing. I feel like sometimes when I'm with my clients, I feel like I'm giving birth. I know that's kind of crazy because I feel exhausted after the fact, but it's like such a rush. It feels like it's so exhilarating when you're in the moment with the moms, making sure that they have their comfort measures, making sure they have everything that they need for my doula bag, which is super full with everything, oil diffusers, aromatherapy, hot therapy, Reboza techniques, everything that we have learned through our training. I'm able to do that with my clients, and the experience from that is just amazing. It's life-changing for me. I get to see the full spectrum, good, bad, and ugly. So it's just a rewarding task to kind of go through that process with someone else when they need that help and they need that support. So I'm just happy to be associated and be a part of their birthing journey.
Okay. Has that ever been a time where you actually like was hard on yourself for a birth outcome?
Oh, yes. I'm going to try to think of one because it's plenty, because I feel like you're never going to be perfect at anything. Some birth outcomes are out of our control because there's just some things happen with the mom or medically that we're not even associated with. I think probably the only one that I can kind of come up to is it was kind of in the pre-phase. We weren't even there at the birth. I took it hard when I had my first doula breakup with a client. I think I take those kind of like personal because sometimes it's not even it's just we're not connecting. And that's okay. Like, everyone is not for you. Your niche might be different from other people. They wanted someone who was more like a mother figure than a friend. So I understood that, and I didn't take it as personal other than the week that I cried. But other than that, I think you kind of go with the punches. And some people are for you and some people are not. But I think Birth in Color has an array of beautiful doulas who are able to assist you in whatever needs that you have. If I'm not the person for you, we do have other doulas that could help and assist you that may be your cup of tea.
I definitely agree with you on that, because Not every client relationship is actually going to work. It depends on the energy. It also depends on what the expectations are that are set. And I think I do a pretty good job at making sure when I see the intake form and like, okay, this doula would be great for this client. I think I've learned to be like, okay, let me learn who my doulas are. And so that's the important part too. But also just being able to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Like just being able to say like, okay, I'm not the person for them. Just like in a regular relationship.
Right.
Even in a friendship. Like, okay, we have seasons where, okay, that was the season of our friendship and now it's over. And we're going to both move on and we're going to both be respectful.
That's it.
Has there ever been a time in a labor room where you felt like you were torn between how to advocate for your client?
Yes. One time in particular, do we name? Okay. One time in particular with a particular hospital, it was very hard for me to do my role as a doula because there were overbearing nurses. I don't come into any space trying to be as boisterous or super bold and all these things like that. Mm-hmm. I come to be a team player. So when I get to a space that isn't as welcoming, I don't try to force myself to be in there because at the end of the day, the relationship I have with them is just with my client. So I try to make sure that my client is taken care of, that their needs are met and heard. Even if I do have some kickback, I'm okay with that because at the end of the day, I'm all about advocating for my client. So if she's not being heard, I will make sure that we notate and we document those things and we can revisit that maybe at a later date. But if something that needs to happen right then and there, I'll make sure that they are advocated for in that space, in that time, so they can get the best birth outcome that they deserve.
Definitely think that's really, really important. Because that's a part of what we do.
Yes.
And as many times as we teach and tell providers that we're non-medical, we want to be a part of your team. We don't want to go against you.
Right.
But when it comes to a client, making sure they understand what you're actually telling them, that's our job to do. It's not that we're going against you. We're just telling the client like, hey, this is what they're actually saying. Here's some evidence on like your choices that you can make, because you're going to ask me, what choice should you make? And I'm going to say, it's not my choice to make. It is yours. But here are all the different evidence-based researches on how to make your choice.
Correct.
And I think some providers get irritated that clients don't necessarily say, okay, you're the provider, I'm going to go with exactly what you say, when we all realize that there's bias in healthcare.
Definitely so.
And so having to be able to navigate that is difficult at times. So you actually had the pleasure of going with me over the weekend to Southwest Virginia.
Yes.
Where I presented on structural racism in healthcare.
Woo!
And then we also had an induction ceremony for some new doulas in Roanoke. What was your experience like listening to that presentation?
I thought it was very powerful. I was so proud to be a part of an organization that doesn't only provide a service, but also raise awareness and advocate for women in reproductive justice. I think when you gave your presentation, just to be the only person of color, you know, a part of that panel, or, you know, that was something, to be in a room full of people that don't look like you, to also make a stand for what you believe in. It was just so powerful. To be a witness, because that's what I was there for, honestly, just to sit back. I didn't have to say nothing. I didn't have to protest. I didn't have to advocate. I literally just had to sit there to understand how they thought. And this is just their regular thinking. The exercise that you had about privilege really made a lot of people very uncomfortable, and rightfully so, because it made them look at their own biases that they have, that they probably don't even believe that they have. So I thought it was just an amazing opportunity, number one, to travel, get out of Richmond, but also see where our need is in other rural areas where they probably won't have. It was one comment made, well, we probably wouldn't need your services because we don't have a lot of Black people here. But I'm pretty sure you have other people of color in this area that needs our help. So I thought it was very empowering to watch you do what you do best, and that's advocate. So I applaud you. I applaud you for that, because I don't know if I could have sat in that room a little bit longer than we did and not say anything. So I thought, again, it was a great learning experience and very powerful to witness.
And so as a doula, how would you use that to help advocate for your clients?
Just the information that you gave. Even here in our own town, we had certain incidents that happened.
Hold on, pause.
Mm-hmm.
Go.
There we go. I think that you bringing up certain things that happen in our own city and certain incidents that happen for us to be aware of and cognitive of, that we can share, not to scare, but also just to educate. Advocacy is all about education, I believe. So once I got that information, I can go to my clients and tell them, hey, you know, you can do X, Y, and Z. Hey, we have, in this particular hospital, we've had some kickback or we've had some issues here, but for you, I'm not going to stop my doula work, or I'm not going to stop advocating for you because of the systemic racism that is actually here in our city, living live and well. So I think when you're advocating for your clients, it just doesn't stop when you're going into the hospital. Sometimes you might have to go to a doctor's appointment. Sometimes we're going to have to talk about stuff outside of your doctor's appointment that you went over and that you might have came in contact with. Recently, I had a client who their OB actually laughed that they had a birth plan. And I thought that was very bold of them to do, because it even had to tell them that, or gave them misinformation that they were 15% more likely to have a failed birth because they had a birth plan. In my rightful mind, I would think you are better prepared of the things that you would want to have physically and mentally before you get into the room to have a child, instead of just going off of what a provider says without having correct information. And that was definitely like a lot of misinformation that was given to my client.
It definitely was. And I always tell clients, and I tell providers too, like, no, you should be happy that this person actually did the work, know about the interventions, and wanted to make sure they have a plan prepared. Whether it fails, whether it doesn't, they still have a backup plan to the plan.
Exactly.
We all know that birth is unpredictable.
Very much so.
No one birth is the same. So having that mindset, and it's just horrible. And it shows you that if you can have this type of mindset about a birth plan, just imagine what your mindset is because of the color of my skin.
Right.
So what do you think the biggest misconception about doulas?
Ooh, this is a good question. We're not fairies. We're not fairies. I think the beautiful thing about being a doula is a wide spectrum. Everyone has their niches, everyone has the things that they specialize in that they can give to you. The common misconception is every doula is the same. And every doula is not the same. Granted, we may have the same training, but the way we carry out our doula work is different. So a common misconception would be that every doula is the same. And we're not. We're not the same.
Definitely not the same. Even when it comes to community-based doulas versus birth doulas, it's a very big difference.
An experience.
I've had where providers have told me, like, well, we just want birth and color doulas. And I'm always trying to be the middle ground person that says, well, no, we don't want to do that because all doulas matter.
They do.
Whether, they call themselves birth doulas, community-based doulas, whatever, we do know the difference between community-based doulas, which is like providing that holistic model of care, versus the birth doulas that do different things in the doula scope. So, what's up next for you? Like, what are you doing next as far as like doula work? Tell me your thoughts.
I feel that I'll be staying with Birth and Color. I think that's number one. I'll be staying to help cultivate this space a lot more, taking more leadership roles in my position here, and making sure that I'm showing up and executing all of my crazy ideas that I have, instead of it just being something that we talk about. I believe that me being here is an asset, and I definitely want to make sure that I hone in on those things and make sure that we become more of a household name that we are. And I'm just a little part of the machine that is really rolling, but I know that I'm an essential part. So I just want to make sure that I continue to grow in my position here and make sure that I'm able to grow as a doula as well, and make sure that that work is being perfected.
So you are now a doula mentor
Yeah.
for Birthing Color.
Yeah.
So tell me, what does that look like for you?
I believe that I will be able to assist my doula sisters in whatever questions that they might have, especially first time coming out, so they don't feel like they're just being thrown to the wolves. They'll have someone to kind of lead them and guide them along their way. Granted, my mentorship is for Danville. I'm not very familiar, but I do believe that the work is still the same and that the information that they need is still the same. So it doesn't really matter where they are. I'm willing and able to help them in any capacity that looks like.
Okay. And is there anything you would like to say to potential doula clients, aspiring doulas to be?
Okay, so for potential clients, I would say that Birthing Color is probably one of the best organizations to get your doulas from. So make sure to check us out. Go on birthingcolorrva.org and pick that you're applying to have a doula. That's the first thing for potential clients. And the second is for potential doulas. This work is not for the weak. It's not for those who are trying to do it for financial gain. It's not just another stream of income. You're dealing with people's lives, their livelihood, their children. You're going on a whole birth journey with them. So be very aware and cognitive that you are an essential part of that, and you can either make or break that their birthing journey that you're going along with them. So I would say that be serious when you're stepping into this work. So it's not like, oh, I'm just doing it for the money, because it'll show, and you're not going to have longevity in it if you're just doing it for the money.
Thank you so much for that, because that's really, really important, is especially for aspiring doulas.
Yeah.
Just because it's gotten to where it's trendy. But doula work has always been here, and it's really for people that actually don't mind showing up for other people, and that do like to serve others and make sure that our community is actually well taken care of. So thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate it. And thank you all for watching. And until next time.